He tightened up the bangs there.
Yes,
so
sir.
Who knows? It's playoff time.
It's
you know?
playoff
You gotta
time.
get serious.
In case you couldn't already tell, I'm Captain Flowers with Jat and Emily here for this BO5 as we are into Champ Select already to get things kicked off. Team Liquid choosing blue side. Hey, there we are. And so that means LYON going to be playing from the red as Team Liquid are going to target the mid lane pool here immediately. Orianna and Cassiopeia banned away. While on LYON's side, they're going to ban out Jarvan and Nocturne to hit the jungle pool and Yone specifically as a target ban against Quid.
And I got to talk to Spawn and Rainover before this series. Rainover talking about how they've had specific strategies against Team Liquid in the past. In the lock-in lower bracket, it was about counter picks in the top lane. In the last series, it was about triple bans for Jose. Slight modification here with 2 jungle bans, but specifically the Yone ban, which Team Liquid has been forcing in game 1 of a lot of their recent series.
Yeah, and that is kind of the default AD that you, mid that you can run. Also kind of a specialty pick for Quid as we see the Varus being the final thing taken off the table by TL. With Dhokla in, we do have to touch upon the fact that his top lane counter picks were such a huge part of not only a few things we saw in their last series, but also their playoff series in lock-in.
Absolutely. But with the first pick, Karma, LYON is absolutely in their comfort zone. They were actually the first LCS team to really spam the Karma Ezreal back in lock-in. They have it once again, and it was dominant in game 1 of their last series they played against Team Liquid.
Yeah, it's actually super interesting. I'm glad you brought that up, Jat, because I was surprised in that series as well that if you're going to be picking this kind of Ashe Seraphine combo, leaving the Karma up as one of the things that can be paired as a pushing lane. However, we are now separating the Ezreal Karma with TL, locking in that Karma pick, and now hovering the Anivia, something that we know Dhokla will play top lane, but it's looking like it's going to be the Ryze.
And Jet, I like the fact that you bring up the Karma Ezreal combo being used by LYON against Team Liquid the last time they played. Yeah. Because when we were looking at the lounge earlier and what they were talking about with the Team Liquid drafts, so many times Team Liquid loves pulling the Ashe Seraphine whenever they get the chance to do it. So the fact they've opted to say, no, we're not taking that this time around just shows me they've got a lot of respect for this Ezreal Karma combination that LYON is so effective with.
Well, and they should, right? Because the last time they stepped too far forward and actually got 2v2 killed in that lane, in that same matchup. We see the Jhin coming out, early Jhin pick.
Hey.
I know, I immediately turned over to Flowers, and he is just making the most sour expression. You and Atlas,
I will say,
just hate this champion. Looked good yesterday, though.
Sven went 13-0 on Jhin. It's back on the menu, boys, but the interesting thing is Jhin Karma is just a really strong lane. We've seen Masu Cryogen win with this, and it just has insane push and utility. Plus, they now have the flex pick Anivia for the top and mid lane.
Yeah, that could be going against the Ryze, or more likely, actually, despite the fact that we've seen the Anivia picked into Ryze very frequently, it could be going top lane for Dhokla. We've seen him have success with it. But the big thing to me is Lee Sin locked in for Josedeodo. I was wondering, post Lee Sin buffs, if this would just be permabanned against Jose, since he has been so good on this pick, and we've seen it have success elsewhere as well. That's just like standard straight up comfort for him.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of people talk about Lee Sin after the buffs, and Jose was one of our players still willing to slam the Lee pick even before those buffs were coming in. So this has got to be exactly what the doctor ordered here in the jungle for Team Liquid, especially considering, like you mentioned earlier, Jat, LYON has already spent 2 out of 3 of their first bans on the jungle pool, getting rid of the Jarvan, getting rid of the Nocturne. So for Jose to then be able to still lock in one of his signature champions here in the first game feels great. As we move into the second half of the bans, Rumble banned out by TLAW, LYON getting rid of the bar.
And it is fun watching these two teams draft against each other because we have Team Liquid who just plays meta or comfort all the time. So Spawn is just throwing fastballs constantly. Can you hit this fastball?
You know what's coming down the pipe.
Yes. Can you deal with it? Whereas LYON has thrown a lot of knuckleballs, curveballs, sliders, all these types of different pitches with the flex picks and the different bands.
I love the baseball analogies. As we see the Rumble removed and then the Xin Zhao for Inspired, something that he's been incredibly successful on. The Bard taken out, and I'm curious if they're going to stick with the support or if they're going to lend something to mid or top.
Yeah, I gotta say, for CoreJJ, he has a little bit of flexibility because they're probably losing that lane anyway. I would guess he's going to go with Rakan because you'd want him to have engage, and it's a normal Ezreal pair. But it's tricky. Like, when you give over the Karma, you're kind of losing the lane regardless. So as much as we wanted to talk about fastballs right down the middle, this is where they can get a little bit creative with Core's pick.
I actually think the Nico hover is most
Probably
likely
it, but you never know. Oh, Rell, okay. That is wild for CoreJJ.
I mean, so we were kind of, and the lounge kind of touched upon this as well, but we were chatting about this in the green room prior, where like we're one meta shift away from TL just being incredibly dominant, right? If a lot of these melee picks come back into fashion in mid, if Core is on some form of engage because he is such a good engager, and Rell does give him that option.
And Rell is very good at locking down targets that already struggle with mobility. Jhin, Karma, and Anivia all have no mobility built into the kit. Yes, Karma will be able to make everyone faster in terms of movement speed with the haste. However, being able to blink away from a big magnet storm coming in, not something that any of these champions can really do. Plus, Team Liquid really did want some more engage in the comp after the first 3 picks, so I really like this one here from CoreJJ and TL. Back over on the Lion side, though, Sion being locked in tells you that Anivia is going into the mid lane, the matchup against the Ryze, and Wukong will be the final pick here as Inspired takes that into the jungle.
And they were a little bit low on damage. They had the Poppy Hover in there to potentially counter the Rell and the Lee Sin, but I think the Wukong makes sense with the Sion Jhin already being locked in. I feel like you're playing with fire when you have Jhin and Sion in the game together. Like, Jhin against Sion, bad. Jhin with Sion, also kind of bad, because it's just not enough damage in a lot of cases. So this will need to be a very controlled game for LYON as we see Morgan lock in the Shen top lane with the last pick.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting coming out of Morgan specifically, who hasn't necessarily been known to, you know, go out of some more of the standard meta picks, Shen coming back in. I don't believe he's played it a lot in his career.
No, he hasn't ever won with it. So that's in...
Are we talking like 0-2 or 0-10?
0-2.
Okay.
So 610 games, 2 all-time games. This is his 3rd on the Shen.
Wow.
And no wins. So definitely some different tech from him. But it is, in theory, good into the Sion. It can push early. It has a lot of % health damage. And then it can also leave lane to help. You know, I'd like it a little bit more with a hyper carry, but they're going to have to use it to try and play the map.
Yeah, and that is my big test for Morgan here, because I feel like when he's been really good, it's because he's either soaking up pressure topside or just doing super well in lane. I feel like his team fighting and coordination and map play hasn't necessarily evolved the way Team Liquid may have wanted it to in terms of his synergy with the rest of the team at times. And Shen is something where he's going to kind of have to be on top of that, right? To contribute to a lot of these team fights and potentially rescue teammates. So kind of an interesting test for him. But if it does work out, they do have the double globals in their favor, right? Like they should be able to spread the map really well and also respond to potentially overloading sides.
I mean, not just the double globals with the Stand United plus True Shot Barrage, also the additional semi-global with the Realm Warp. There's a lot of mobility to move around the Rift here for TL, as we'll see an early ward dropped in the top side river by Inspired. As now Josedeodo will go ahead start chickens. Inspired going to start his own red.
Yeah, I'm also told we got some footage of Quid's warm-up routine, which producers are going to throw up on the bottom left of the screen. No audio in this, just trying to stay warm.
Yeah, get the blood
pumping.
pumping.
The energy going.
Yeah, get excited.
Yet another Ryze game, run it back. The kind of only mage that they're very reliably willing to pick for Quid, but with the Deathfire touch, definitely not as good as the Phase Rush variant into the Anivia mid.
No, he's doing, like, what, balance? Was he balancing on one foot there?
No, he's on top of his assistant coach.
Oh, yeah, he's sitting on the coach
human chair.
See, yeah, okay, so now then he was doing like high kicks. All right.
I respect it.
Gotta stay warm.
That's a coach doing whatever he needs to do to make sure his players are set up for success.
Job security, baby.
Oh my god.
Who else is going to be willing to do this for the players, huh?
For Quid.
All right, Josedeodo here, level 3 on the Lee Sin. Gonna walk around through the tri-brush here, perhaps. Is seen on top of a ward. Berserker of an Isle is gonna have to respect this one and immediately back away, so Jose returns to the tri-brush.
Ooh, he's just gonna reset and probably buy some items to go do more combat, because if you do the 3 camp bot side into bot gank, you can often get set really far behind. So he may as well go back, get a longsword, and then go to clear his top camps. That's the way you can pull that gank off without completely screwing your game.
Yeah, and as we see him headed over to that top side. Oh, it's my match of the week, which is actually
a new tradition.
Yeah, it's
Emily's match
a
of the
new
week.
tradition because I'm just
Emily needs to tell us her match of the week.
Emily, why is this your match of the week? Why is this the big dog?
So I was actually looking forward to this rematch just because of the ways that LYON have approached TL, and kind of the 2 coaches talked about it as well in your interview chat, where specifically their draft choices, and also the fact that just TL always have this kind of, we have this thought process around them that they still have a lot that they haven't necessarily shown us thus far on stage. However, it's now going to take a lot to beat yesterday's 5-game banger, so I might have picked the wrong match this week, sadly.
I disagree. You had to pick before the. You had to pick
You
beforehand.
can't doubt yourself
Before
already,
drafts,
by the way. What
There
if we
was
get
so much
you
negative
met
self-talk in that whole pitch right there.
we got to get the frog. All right,
Gotta frog
what
you.
if this goes 5 games and game
Spectacular.
5 is a 55-minute 4 Elder Dragon banger?
Because think of the
gonna be
storylines
great.
in this game already. We have the lock-in champions,
True.
as we see an invade from Jose, and Inspired still on the map with some items, going to take these Raptors now.
Yeah, Inspired brings Isles right behind him to invade Jose. And it's just that easy to walk in, steal the camp away, get a little bit of extra tempo.
And that's an extension of the early gank that Jose pulled off. It meant he was slow back to his Raptors. It meant that Inspired pre-called to have his Karma there so that he could make that invade and now go back to his own camps.
And Inspired also with more stats in hand. He's got the longsword that Jose has, but because he cleared more before going for his first recall, he's also got the Ruby Crystal. Just makes it even less desirable for Jose to want anything to do with some PvP for those chickens. As heading back down into the bottom lane here, it is Berserker with a nice tidy CS lead.
Yeah, and as we were saying, Team Liquid has been great in scrims. Right now, they're just the champion of scrims, but they're actually against the ones who actually lifted the trophy back in lock-in, which is a difference, surprisingly.
Yeah, I would prefer to be the second versus the first.
Yeah.
Scrimbucks have... they've always been one of those really dangerous currencies that's very volatile, oftentimes end up being worth nothing more than the paper that they're written on.
It was really interesting to hear from Spawn, though, and just be like, it's been a rough week in scrims. I don't know if that means, like, in actual result or just in, like, the conversations they've had to have afterwards. But he did say that he actually thinks that having the on-stage struggles they've had recently could make them a much better team in the long run.
The way that I understood it was definitely more towards like having to have those tough conversations, because he specifically said, yes, scrims are not fun this week. Like, we're not having a good time playing scrims, and that generally means you gotta have some hard truths in there. As Dhokla is very low on mana up here on the top side, so Morgan is gonna feel plenty comfortable dealing with him here in this 1v1, you would have to think, but the wave is pushing towards Morgan, so Dhokla will take the opportunity to recall.
Yeah, Dhokla, both of them have their TP so they can get back to the wave. Morgan has the wave in a better state and is actually ahead in this lane, even though it shows him as down in CS, since there's so many more minions for him to collect. And Jose coming up here to maybe try and get a cheeky play onto Dhokla, who wouldn't have mana to ult away, but I believe he's just going to walk it off.
Ooh, Dhokla does take that extra second there. Josedeodo jumping forward with the safeguard. Slows him down with the Tempest. Sonic Wave, resonating strike, flash out from Dhokla to live with 15 HP.
Woo!
Same reaction, very close call there from Dhokla. Starting with the Doran's helm, not shield, so a little bit of scaling as well. Ends up getting away. If that wasn't a recent buff to get a little bit extra health on the helm, he would have died on that game.
But now we see the response from LYON, Inspired taking that early first Drake. Drake stacking has been absolutely huge, I mean, in League of Legends as a whole, but also just in these playoffs already, as we saw yesterday. And it is always kind of interesting to see what LYON choose to do, because historically they have been our team that sometimes gives up objectives, but with Jose on top side of the map, that is completely free for Inspired to be able to take on the bot side.
And I think what we've seen early from Jose and Inspired is really indicative of their style and their stats from this year. Even though Jose's ganks haven't worked, you can tell he goes for more of them. He has 78% kill participation to Inspired 63, which is basically first or second amongst all junglers, and then last place of junglers. But Inspired, if you look at the bottom there, the XP difference at 14, massive, because he's always going to be able to prioritize camps, which is what we've seen him do when Jose goes for those plays.
Still a very close game overall, as we have not seen anybody really find any great success just yet. Dhokla losing that flash up top, of course, because of Jose. Inspired stealing away the one camp with the help of Isles. Down in bottom lane, though, biggest individual gold lead is still Berserker here on that Jhin, with about 2 waves worth of advantage in terms of the creeps. And as I was counting that, both sides had 3 ranged minions left alive in lane, so it's not like, yeah, Yeon just has a whole lot more creeps left to pick up. No, it's just a nice lead built by Berserker and Isles with this Jhin Karma combination that we called out in draft as they're just really strong in lane.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're annoying to have to go up against. And like Berserker and Isles have quickly become, I would say, our best bot lane in the LCS. Berserker has been absolutely phenomenal for LYON this split.
I mean, I don't know about you guys. I put Berserker #1 on my All-Pro. I had Isles at #2 for their respective roles. So I think these two have been really, really on point. I think Isles has had a lot of clutch moments. I think Berserker has had some really strong performances.
Absolutely. You can see some of their stats right there with Berserker really having massive gold difference and damage difference stats. So that's laning and late game team fighting where he's been able to dominate. And if you look at their items as well with the Boots of Swiftness plus the Karma, they're kind of subscribing to the just dodge it theory.
Yeah.
So they're up against Ezreal and Rell.
Yeah.
You know, there's no cleanse, there's no Mikhails. You just dodge, and then you're going to be fine.
Trust your hands.
Yeah.
Just stay out of harm's way. Void Grub's going to be picked up there by Josedeodo right about on spawn. Remember that LYON did secure themselves the first Drake of the game here too. Early Ocean Dragon always feels really good while you're still firmly in the laning phase. Just have that extra regeneration, make trades that much more favorable, or make trades that otherwise might have been bad break even, as Yeon and CoreJJ are going to have the opportunity to step forward, clear out some of the vision placed down by LYON here in these bottom lane rushes, considering Berserker did have to take his recall. But on top of those Boots of Swiftness you mentioned earlier, now he's coming back with Noon Quiver, ready to continue wreaking havoc on the lane.
Yes, he is. Maybe at one point Jhin will do damage in this game. We'll have to see, though.
I hope so.
It sneaks up on you. He's either doing nothing or he has 13 kills.
Yeah.
It's just one or the other.
It's heaven or hell. Jhin players do not live
on Earth. It's Berserker.
Yeah.
Come on, you don't believe in Berserker?
And Look at his CS already, 102
like
in 9 minutes.
If you don't believe in Jhin, Flowers, can you at least believe in Berserker?
When I think of Berserker, I think of hyper carries, right? I think of these champs that scale up and 1v9 in the late game, or maybe 2v8 if your support's playing a Pocket Lulu, right? But it's one of those things where Jhin just doesn't come to mind immediately, but so far he has had a first good 9 minutes and 45 seconds of the game as Quid heads into his own jungle here. He's got CoreJJ right next to him again, just trying to clear out some of the vision that LYON wants to establish to try and track where Team Liquid is going to go. And I think that for LYON, it's going to be even more important than normal to have vision in the right places this game because of all of those different globals and semi-globals TL has.
But I'd also say, like, this game being 0-0 is advantage for Inspired on the Wukong versus the Lee Sin. It's not an incredible pick for him, but he's definitely been pretty solid with it across his time here in the LCS. So we'll have to see how he's able to continue.
22-7 is like a 76-77% win rate. If I see a guy on my team in solo queue, I look at his OP.GG, he's playing something he wins 77% of the time on.
Fair.
I'm like,
just
I'm happy to have
He had like
this guy.
an 80% win rate last year on FlyQuest. He's won like 5 titles.
Fair enough, fair enough. Eclipse completed, though, for Josedeodo. MasterCard Power Spike right there, as this is going to give Lee Sin some very scary dueling potential.
Yeah, and we'll see where he wants to go with that. I think the big thing for me is now Inspired also has just locked in his Triforce, and Inspired's MO, as we see Jose going.
Yeah, Jose immediately with the Dragon's Rage finds the angle there on a Saint. The Anivia tries to get out, but no, already knocked down into the egg. Sure, Inspired shows up, but there's no way for him to buy enough time for Saint to revive. So first blood over to TL, and they even get it through the Anivia passive.
And that's actually exactly what you want to see from Jose on this pick, right? Like, even though we saw his looks bot, his looks top, didn't necessarily net him any kills, he was trying to affect his lanes, and like the pressure is more, and the impetus is more on him to be able to do something a little bit earlier with this Lee Sin, as opposed to the Wukong, who's going to want to farm up and then show up to team fights with items, as Inspired is want to do. But this is also going to net them the second Drake of the game and kind of stop any sort of rapid dragon stacking that LYON may have been able to attempt.
Completely agree. Great look there by Jose, and a nice recall interrupt there onto CoreJJ. Gets his flash.
Yeah, not just the interrupt there, but CoreJJ forced to dump that valuable summoner spell. As now once more, it's Josedeodo here in the mid lane. Saint tries to flash away, but Jose's ready to flash follow. Saint is the target, and Jose is shooting true.
Saint thought he was being a little clever, not burning his flash the first time. Burns the flash the second time. Jose still has his, and it's a perfect follow. Yes, it cost Team Liquid a couple of flashes, but that's definitely having back-to-back deaths on your mid laner is really how you can unlock a Ryze onto the map.
And I especially like seeing this kind of focus on an enemy mid that's going for Rod of Ages first. You can see that Saint only just now completed it 12.5 minutes into the game, where I feel like more often we're usually seeing laners get this done around 10 minutes, 11 minutes. And whether or not that thing is fully upgraded and you have the extra level and the power spike in time for a big objective fight that'll normally happen in those early 20-minute marks of the game can really make a big difference.
Yeah, and Quid's going to lock in his on the opposing side as well. And I think another big thing for TL, and we talked about Quid on this Ryze, is that there was a time in lock-in where like Ryze was kind of their answer, right? Like they would always win with it because it just gives you such good side lane control with the semi-global. And now that he is ahead by almost 1K and in a really, really good spot, we're going to be looking to see how many plays he'll be able to make around the map and also affect side lanes.
I still feel like this is going to be on Jose to make a lot of plays for Team Liquid, because you look at the like real structure of their team composition. It's not a super straightforward team comp to play. They have to play side lanes with the Ryze and Lee Sin. The Shen has to be very effective. The Ezreal, Rell are both kind of good independent champions, but you wouldn't necessarily think they have good synergy. Whereas for LYON, it is scale and front to back. Even if their overall damage is a little bit low, it's much more straightforward to try and find a win condition with LYON's comp.
Especially considering you have things like the Ryze that are very susceptible to the Anivia wall. I'll be very curious to see how effective Saint can be with that as we go further and further into the game, as he can put more points into the Crystallize. I know sometimes I see Anivia's, they always max Flash Frost the E first because that's the damage tool, or Frostbite, excuse me, Flash Frost is the Q. And then a lot of times I'll see Anivia's go 2 or 3 points into the Q just for the end of the laning phase, and then you max Crystallize from there, because let's be honest, the level 1 Crystallize, it's kind of junk.
No baby wall.
Yeah, it doesn't really cover a lot of space.
Still counts as terrain, but.
So we've got 35 seconds here until the Rift Herald spawns. 1 Drake for either side so far, so that dragon that's 2 minutes away is not going to pose any imminent threat of soul point, no matter who gets it, as Team Liquid is again in enemy territory. Saint could be once more in danger, but a nice Flash Frost there finds a stun into Josedeodo, buys time for Saint to get away.
Yeah, they're really trying to attack Saint as much as possible, especially while his Flash and Egg are down. But with Inspired having that Triforce, he would look for a good numbered fight, especially when he's around his Jhin and Karma, since that's where he has the advantage on the map.
Exactly. Hex Optics already completed for Berserker. This has just become the go-to first item rush for the vast majority of AD carries. Turns out in a game where range is one of the most powerful stats, an item that increases your range is really, really strong.
Yeah, it feels great as we see TL moving up into this top side of the map on Jose onto Herald.
Yeah, I mean, Inspired doesn't want to fight, it looks like. Everywhere that Jose goes, oftentimes Inspired is just trying to cross-map somewhere else. So Jose kind of gets his free pick of the objectives that he wants to claim. And also, if you're going to attack a Shen team, it's good to attack the Shen directly. Otherwise, he's just going to ult in. So that's why Morgan's playing a little defensively.
Exactly. The only person that cannot receive Stand United is Shen himself. Nobody is going to stand united with Shen. They only want Shen's help.
What does that say?
It says like that Shen needs to find better friends.
Yeah.
He clearly doesn't have the best judgment in terms of who he's hanging out with here. But Team Liquid does have about a 600, 700 gold lead here for themselves so far over the course of this game. And honestly, it's 1.1 thousand gold individual lead for Quid thanks to that pressure from Josedeodo.
Yeah. Yeah, it's putting all of this onto Quid, and as we take a look at the map in terms of like where the setup is, LYON has done a really good job of getting a lot of deep vision behind the Drake, which should allow them to spot any movement from lane to lane or any sort of setup as we see them continuing to fight over vision as Drake is about to spawn.
Yeah, Team Liquid has some pretty good side lane pressure at the moment, crashing the bot wave that LYON has no one to catch, and then Morgan also crashing that top wave, but Inspired is pretty gung-ho about just either starting this Drake or getting a fight on this Drake right now.
Okay, Team Liquid are going to summon up the Herald, common play that you see to at least create a different point of pressure as the Drake fight begins. TP about to arrive from Dhokla, as the Infernal Drake is already secured. Team Liquid not going to go for a fight on this one, instead just allowing that Herald to crash into the mid lane.
A little surprised that Dhokla actually TP'd in there because Morgan was preemptively proxying the wave, so has a huge amount of free time on that top lane now to really put Team Liquid ahead in gold. Yes, good Drake secured by LYON, but it cost them a lot of gold.
Yeah, and it also gives TL this kind of mid pressure as well. They'll be able to take this tier 1 mid turret down for Yeon and then potentially rotate up towards this top side. Jose and Inspired are already here.
Yeah, Dokla's trying to clear out the waves, uses Decimating Smash to get rid of most of it, but because it's a cannon wave, there's still enough time for Morgan to move up there and just take the turret. That's now a 2-0 turret lead for TL, as LYON have yet to acquire a structure for themselves.
Big fight here.
Here we go. Quid going in with the Realm Warp, tries to find his way into the back line, and Inspired is caught out. Cyclone ain't getting him away, and Berserker has already died here too. That's your fed Jhin out of the picture before the fight really even continues kicking off. Josedeodo once more, speaking of kicks, finds the angle on Saint yet again. It's the carries on LYON absolutely eviscerated as Team Liquid invades the enemy jungle beautifully.
Beautiful macro from Team Liquid to set that one up. It was all accumulated pressure from the original Drake give that they gave to LYON. The top lane collapsed, the mid lane collapsed, and then rather than resetting, they continued to invade the jungle. And the big thing actually happened when Yeon gets the flank on a Berserker. He takes 60% of his health before Morgan's ult even arrives.
Yeah, and you knew that he felt so comfortable having Morgan in his back pocket. This kick from Jose onto the Anivia is also beautiful. And even though Dhokla is going to be able to get out here, it gives all the pressure in the world to TL.
And I love the fact that Jose also committed the flash there to make sure that he hits Saint at the right angle, because if he doesn't commit the flash, you knock him kind of into the terrain a little bit. It's sort of wonky, and you most likely don't get the kill. So Jose just finding these plays over and over again.
And I want to give some credit to Morgan, right? And also just TL's communication overall, because I was like, this is going to be a pick where it's going to be a test of how well he's able to synergize with the team, something that we've seen him struggle a little bit with prior during the split. But that was beautifully set up, taking advantage of the fact that Dhokla did commit the TP to the Drake fight. I may have just cursed him, though.
Yeah, Morgan now finding himself under pressure as LYON wants to send a 3-man play up here. They will at least force the flash out of the Shen, but they won't get themselves a kill.
Before.
Meanwhile, hold on. For a second, I was thinking we were doing a split-screen replay, but no, it's just once more Berserker being found in his own red side jungle by the enemy AD carry and a little bit of backup.
Deep push everywhere by Team Liquid. He's dying near his second-tier turret, so the mid-prio has completely gone over to Yeon's Ezreal and this Team Liquid team that is pressuring LYON like crazy.
Yeah, they're pressuring all 3 lanes now, right? Morgan is up top, pressuring that top tier 2. Quid is on bot side, pressuring bot tier 2, and then you have the push in the mid. This is really well set up by TL.
Yeah, and a lot of it is off the back of Jose. So a reminder for everyone, you can still vote in your Kia All-Pro for your All-Pro First Team Jungler. We've already voted. It's a regular season award, just to be clear. I think people will still be influenced by the games that they see in playoffs, however, and Jose putting on another Lee Sin show.
Exactly. Our votes are already cast, but the window is still open for all y'all to cast your own for a few more days, as we do have a 6,000 gold lead for TL. They've been able to find a great amount of use out of the Void Grubs they got early, too. That was one thing. Remember that Jose took those on spawn. LYON took the first dragon. Normally, the Grubs are less valuable, but it's still a down payment objective that you want to profit off of later, and I think TL has found a lot of success from them.
Well, it works really well with this team, right? And the split push pressure they've been able to set up. I feel like I've never been able to say that correctly.
It's a tricky one.
Try. So that's a nice tongue twister. But yeah, like the way that they have actually set up the map has been so impressive. And every time they have been able to get a catch onto someone, they're immediately pushing in their side waves, and they've had a lot of pressure mid as well.
And they've gotten a lot of global gold off of that. Everyone with pretty even gold leads. You can see the top 4 gold in the game are all Team Liquid players, so they've really been popping off there. And Quid on his Ryze doing about as much damage as Yeon. The big thing here is that LYON just hasn't been able to find fights where they've been able to do really any damage.
And I feel like that is well demonstrated by the damage chart, because the highest damage in the game on LYON's side is Dhokla, because he's up there playing the tank punching game with Morgan. If the carries aren't able to out DPS the tank punching tanks, you've got a bit of an issue. As Yeon, nice sidestep there on the Deadly Flourish, even though he was slowed by the trap, doesn't get caught out by that one. We do have the Infernal Drake live right now, and Josedeodo is already working on taking it out.
Yeah, I mean, TL are just pushed up so far on the map that it is incredibly easy for Jose to just get in there, make the Drake stack being even once again, with that third Drake that they gave up actually being the big breaking point where they really broke the map open. And yeah, this turret is gone.
And there's just not good ways for LYON to counteract it right now. The Jhin wave clear isn't that strong. Also, Jhin doesn't do that much damage, especially well behind. Morgan's Shen also now has a lot of damage with the Dusk and Dawn being completed if he's trying to go up against Dhokla in the side lanes. And then Saint is just not very mobile, so he has to stay under his turrets against the Lee Sin wherever Jose decides to pop out.
You know, my entire life, ever since I was a little kid, I've been allergic to mosquitoes. Maybe that's why I don't like Jhin, because he does about as much damage as a mosquito does. It's a long-standing hatred between me and Mr. 4 over here. As Berserker, that lead that he had early on in the game, remember, he was the one who was like the point of power for LYON because of how strong that laning duo was. But now, after getting caught out a couple of times, both times, like you said earlier, Jat, in his own jungle in a place that should not be as dangerous as it was, you would think. No, he has fallen behind. Yeon has been the beneficiary of the kills, and now it's a 2,000 gold lead for Yeon over Berserker. Yeah,
and Jat already touched upon it, but this is also kind of a symptom of the fact that LYON haven't really been able to set up their front-to-back team fighting for the Jhin at any point in time, right? Because of the way the TL have been playing around multiple waves.
And now Saint once again finding himself the target of Josedeodo. Sonic Wave resonating strike, setting it up for the Dragon's Rage. Saint with a flash over the wall, but immediately Shattering Strike into the crash down coming out from CoreJJ. Magnet Storm blocks up both enemy solo laners, and yet again, this Anivia egg makes a nice omelet, but it won't do much more. Team Liquid's eating good.
Yeah, the Anivia has not been able to set up at all to kind of create space with her ultimate, and now TL are immediately onto the Baron after that pick.
Team Liquid far too mobile for the Anivia to have any effectiveness, and LYON still killless in this game 1 of the upper bracket spring playoffs. Team Liquid is looking very sharp. Is this a scrim or is this staged?
Yeah, maybe those scrim bucks went up in value. Overnight, they just shot straight to the moon, because this TL is here to compete. Nearly 8,000 gold lead, 24 minutes, 45 seconds into the game. There's very few ways to lose a game from this point. You've got to be trying.
You'd think.
Yeah. I mean, I think the most impressive thing to me is that a lot of this is classic TL from the way that they've been using globals and semi-globals to spread their opponents around the map, not get them into a position where they can set up for their front to back. And there we go. Wake up.
This was the question, right?
Wake up, Team Liquid Alienware.
This was the question. Would they stay asleep on stage? Apparently not. Apparently they've learned a way to channel their scrim power again into this stage game. With this Baron, let's see how much they can break of LYON's base.
Well, they're pressuring 2 different spots at once. Make it 3 as Morgan is up there in the top lane. Just doesn't have the wave crashing into the tier 3 here just yet. But Yeon, as the main cannon here for the squad, is going to be the first to take down his assignment as that tier 3 turret falls in mid. Now everybody except for Morgan grouping up down here in the bottom lane to siege the tier 3 there. Inspired, seeing if he can maybe make a move, try to find the angle here onto Morgan. And that's going to be the sign for the rest of Team Liquid to look for something in the enemy base. They know they're going to lose their top laner, and sure enough, the shutdown credit goes over to Inspired's Wukong. Team Liquid not going to take out the inhibitor itself here in the mid lane. Instead, just going to go ahead and retreat for now.
So not a super effective Baron power play by Team Liquid. Inspired able to get a little bit of cash in off of Morgan's Shen. Always smart to attack the Shen in any situation. That's the only play that had a chance of working for LYON. So at the same time, you do wonder if Team Liquid should have been, if they're going to play two lanes that are next to each other, because then at least they'd be able to collapse if they get engaged on like that. So I think a bit of a mistake there by Morgan.
Well, I mean, that was the thing, is they weren't even playing two. It was a full 3-lane play, right? You had like a little bit of pressure in bottom side, most of the pressure in mid lane to actually crack the turret. And then Morgan was so far back because he still had to get the wave pushed up. But now it's Dhokla in danger. CoreJJ, he'll be here to body block it. That feels bad, man. Oh, but never mind. That feels good. Dhokla survives here with the shield. True shot barrage, not going to snipe him either. Well played from Big Doke.
Couple of small missteps there by Team Liquid. Core didn't want to take the KS away.
Yeah.
So Dhokla's able to escape. Baron power play only plus 1,200. So pretty much just the gold from the Baron is TL's advantage from that one. But Infernal Drake coming up. They're going to try and stack more towards Infernal Soul.
Yeah, they were able to crack the base, but not take an inhibitor, and now they should have free reign over this Drake, as you already mentioned, because they're already pushed up with Morgan having pushed up that bot wave.
But there's a streak on the line.
Oh, yeah.
Dhokla, 9-0 in his last 9.
Yeah.
Could it end? It's kind of looking like it.
I think it's much more likely than not to become a 9-1 here, as Team Liquid will go ahead and secure themselves soul point here with this Drake. Even though, like you pointed out, Jat, the Baron was, well, let's just be frank, it was underwhelming, right? You get one tier 3 turret from a Baron when you're 8,000 gold ahead.
I mean, just make it like a really long game. That's our best chance.
I mean, he's right.
He's not wrong.
That's you've got Anivia, you've got Sion, you've got these characters that can scale up and become absolutely obnoxious as the game goes forward, so you want to try to pump the brakes a little bit, but that's much easier said than done. Yeon has 4 fully completed items, including his armor penetration here with the Servelda's Grudge. In mid lane, Quid has the Actualizer completed. It's just scary. And
Jose just locked in his GA, right? Which is going to make him even more of a huge threat to displace priority targets in TL's fights.
Vandal Pipes also completed here for Morgan, considering you've got both your AD carry and your jungler wanting to get out as many attacks as possible. I think there's value in that one. Also with the Battle Shen Dusk and Dawn build, he does a deceptive amount of damage himself, as Inspired wants to jump in after him. Does have Dhokla coming around here from the side, but you can see that Dusk and Dawn Titanic damage that I'm talking about right there, as Inspired, thanks to Dhokla, isn't going to be under any real pressure, and that's yet another pick for LYON on to Morgan. Both kills so far have been finding the Shen in the side lane.
Yeah, the comeback would have to be a bunch of small plays like that before one big fight where they collect a huge amount of bounty gold. Because objective bounties have been up for a while. The big thing will be if LYON can find their way in to being able to contest this Infernal Soul. Because as much as you want to make it a long game, I think going up against Infernal Soul, max item Ezreal, and Actualizer Ryze that's too long.
No.
Yeah. And TL were able to take care of that top tier 2 in the meantime, which should allow them to continue this kind of deep vision push to really control the map, and hopefully, again, making the most of the fact that Morgan did die in that side lane, getting a little bit more map pressure top side. And you can kind of see how dark things are for LYON.
Pretty scary.
As the observers are showing us right now.
Physically and mentally, things are dark for LYON right now. This is a pretty depressing game state, especially when Actualizer Ryze just deletes your jungler in 1 second. CoreJJ wrapping around the side here to see if there's anybody else to be found, as Inspired at least got away thanks to his Guardian Angel, but Dhokla won't. He'll explode into an Infernal Shard Pinata, and his dead body won't get a whole lot of value there either.
There was a joke there about trading the Actualizer cooldown for the GA cooldown, but not a good trade.
No, not generally isn't going to favor the one with the Guardian Angel there, as Saint does at least land a quick Flash Frost onto Morgan, but Yeon just so unafraid.
Yeah.
No issue whatsoever with using the Essence Shift to go forward. Chunk Saint down to half HP. Josedeodo, Sonic Wave. No Resonating Strike here, as Team Liquid heads over to Baron, knowing Dhokla is still dead for the next 25 seconds.
Yeah, Baron number 2 likely uncontestable by LYON, unless they want to feed themselves to TL. Looks like Inspired's thinking about a steal.
Okay. LYON are at least considering it. Remember, Inspired, no Guardian Angel anymore. Josedeodo still with a GA of his own. Quid looking for the Realm Warp here as CoreJJ leads the charge. Inspired forced to use the Cyclone. TL now regrouping. They're giving up on the Baron, though. So honestly, props to LYON for stopping it.
Big success there. The Realm Warp was a fake for Team Liquid, but Inspired jumping over the wall to engage/escape onto CoreJJ. Very effective. Buys enough time for Dhokla to respawn and at least stems the bleeding for now.
Yeah, and it will allow them to get more vision on the bot side of the map with Inspired picking up that Scuttle Crab right around the Drake area, so at least getting something down there that they'll be able to have more eyes towards this bot side, and any vision that LYON can get down to try to set up is going to be huge.
And Summoner Spell check for LYON. Everybody has Flash, which is good if you're trying to do a game-deciding fight. Wukong ultimate will be back up, and Morgan's Shen ultimate actually is going to be slightly desynced. It's about 8 seconds below the Dragon respawn, so he'll have it if there's going to be a fight. That shouldn't be a problem either.
And all the flashes on the TL side also available except for Morgan. So he's kind of the one person who won't have everything in the tank available for this fight. But when your team is up 8,500 gold, you're fine being down one single flash, you would have to think, as Team Liquid does control the entry point towards this bottom side river. And you can see Jose hanging out just around the pit right now. He's got Quid right next to him because the Lee Sin and the Ryze can just burst this thing down in a couple of seconds anyway as soon as it spawns. The only vision down here for the LYON side is the Scuttle Crab because it can't be removed. All the other wards have been swept away. Dhokla arrives here with a TP. Morgan grouped up with the rest of the team.
I mean, pretty smart to enter through that bush with the super shield from the TP. Allows them to at least make it to river. Step one kind of accomplished. It's still going to be nearly impossible for LYON, but at least they're here.
Yep, Dhokla's stepping up. Very tanky here on the Sion, but has almost lost the entirety of that big TP shield. Now it's gone. Soul Furnace, all he's got left. Flashing in, going for the play onto Yeon. Josedeodo with a defensive Dragon's Rage. Inspired wants to go in, looking to steal away the Drake, but no! Yeon guns him down. Saint's about to fall next. Dragon still standing, but LYON is not. Isles tries to flash away. Saint falls. Isles burns. Everybody on LYON is getting hunted down in this Team Liquid Safari, and there's nothing left to stop them. Berserker's the only one standing, and TL's gonna march it down mid.
Statement game one by Team Liquid. They control 4 Drakes. They only give up 2 deaths. If LYON plays the controlled game, Team Liquid pressured the crap out of them here, and they're gonna take game one, Flowers.
They'll just march straight towards those Nexus turrets. Berserker throws a trap at the stairs because if he steps out of that fountain, he is done for. Team Liquid. Spawn said it was a rough week of scrims. It wasn't a lot of fun, but they were fixing problems, and it certainly paid off here in game one.
And it was how they did it, right? By playing the map, by forcing LYON into some bad decisions around vision.